me see.
I just saw it on Twitter go out.
Yeah,
Yep, it's out on Twitter and it's now good. Yep.
Okay, there it is.
Badass.
McClunky.
All right.
McClunky.
Nick, do you mind if I? Oh, are we talking?
Yeah, we got to record first. So
yeah, let me record. And Nick, do you mind if I kick us off?
Yeah. So let me do this. I'm
after the intros. Start the episode. I'll do it.
Okay. You mean I'll start the? Yeah.
You do the intros and then I will start talking about what we're talking about.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to record Skype as a failsafe because I'm going to air what for tonight's theme is record and edit and publish as quickly as possible because this all is like time sensitive, so I'm not going to worry about audio. Obviously, everybody try to not use a mouse or keyboard as much as possible. I'm going to silence probably nothing, so keep the S words and the F words to a minimum. I mean, also it's fine. I can go and mute it, but
and through in terms of cleaning up the audio through Libsyn, you can always publish and then go back and republish without it messing things up too much. I had to do that on an episode of something. So like we could just throw this out, and then if you decided you wanted to clean them up for archive's sake, we could do that later. I say we just get this up ASAP. In fact, let's not even record. Let's just publish now.
Publish now? What?
Yeah, let's not record the episode. Let's just publish what we have.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Just take our stream version.
Are you making jokes, Nick?
Are you being funny? Because I don't know if it's being funny. All right, hold on. My Skype isn't showing up for you guys. Let me make sure I did this correctly. And then Logan and you two, what I'm gonna have you do is we'll do the clap sync because if I can get cleaner audio, I'll do it. Logan, do you have something to record with?
I have Audacity.
That's perfect. So just record yourself. You can start whenever you want.
All right, we'll do.
And then the other boys know what to do. But we're gonna do a clap sync, and I'll tell you what to do. But first, I'm gonna turn my failsafe on because it's not working.
Okay, I'll start recording now.
Perfect.
Alrighty, just check.
Nick, your Skype recording's not working. I could record on mine.
No, because I'm routing it through Audition. So I'm just doing some fancy stuff. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you're doing Audition now?
I've been doing Audition for
primary ignition.
a year.
I get Audition now for free through work. So I've been using that for my audio editing work.
That's actually a really good deal.
I like it a lot for cleaning stuff up.
Okay, now I see you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the recording on my side. Alex and Chris, are you guys recording?
We're gonna do a clap, right? Or just tell me when.
Well, you can start recording now.
Okay.
And I've begun recording. I'm turning my headphones up all the way.
Do you want me to do the clap?
You're all going to do. Actually, what do I want to do?
You want one of us to do the clap with the others having their headphones next to the mic.
That's right. So, Logan, turn your headphones all the way up and put them next to your mic. Chris, do the same thing, and then Alex is going to clap. But Alex, count it down so we're all ready.
5,
Everything's perfectly
4,
all right now. We're fine.
3,
We're all fine.
2,
now. Thank you.
1.
How are you?
There it is. Okay. Perfect. Now turn your headphones down, otherwise we'll hear it and it's going to blast your ears. All right. Just to start it. McClunky. So, you guys, I forgot, one of you just said that wasn't the most shocking Star Wars news you've heard, but McClunky.
Yeah, I'm still totally unfamiliar, so I'm looking at our Twitter feed and seeing it.
So this is not to be outdone, and not to go outside of the tradition of George Lucas, but every time there's a new version of Star Wars that is released out into the public, there's a new change. And the first change for everyone to find, in the special edition, is now at the end of the Han shot first scene, Greedo for some reason says McClunky. So you can check the retweet from that. But it's just all of a sudden right before Han shoots or avoids or does his weird head bob, Greedo goes McClunky, and it's one of the most perplexing things on the internet today. Because of course, couldn't just have Disney Plus. You had to have Disney Plus, the special edition.
Well, that's extra. They're setting up the expanded universe where McClunky Culkin plays a character.
Well, that's as good as any place to start. You're listening to Star Wars Loose Cannon, a Star Wars podcast. But not only are you listening to Loose Cannon, but you're listening to a subset episode called Ride the Blurrg. So this is Ride the Blurrg episode 1, where we talk about The Mandalorian Chapter 1. Yay! I'm Nick Oswald, and with me today is Alex Lowe.
Howdy.
Producer Chris.
Hey, guys.
And forgive me, Logan, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name, but we have a special guest, Logan Levesque. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right on. Hey, guys.
So, Logan, maybe introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us who you are, and then we'll get started talking about the new era of Star Wars on television.
All right. Well, hey, guys. My name is Logan Levesque. I've been in podcasting before. I am currently in college with a major in education. And basically, I've just loved Star Wars basically since I was 5. But it's nice to be talking about Star Wars with people who actually like Star Wars. And
that is new. That is a new thing.
Yeah, but it's great to be on with you guys.
Awesome. Well, I don't know, Nick. Should we dive right into what we're talking about tonight? Okay. So I just want to say I was super pumped that we decided we were going to do these subset of episodes because I was born August of 91. So the first episode, I was a year old. And if we're really going to talk about this, I just think it's super appropriate in 2019 that a show's premiere episode, a show's pilot, has to do with, a radio show with some womanizing remarks. And, I don't know, like set in Detroit, it really says a lot about today. And I'm a big Martin Lawrence fan in general. So I don't know.
Okay. I'm starting to, the gears are turning. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Season 1, episode 1, Beauty of the Beast of Martin. You said we're talking about Martin tonight, right?
Oh, so when I typed it, it must have stopped after MA. Because it's supposed to be The Mandalorian.
That makes a lot more sense for a Star Wars podcast.
So, okay, tell me this. What episode did you actually watch?
I watched season 1, episode 1 of Martin called Beauty and the Beast, the Martin premiere starring comedic great Martin Lawrence.
Okay. Yeah. So this is not on Disney Plus. This is on like Fox's streaming service, I'm sure, or something like that.
Yeah, Disney Plus. Disney owns Fox now.
But not the Fox TV shows.
I don't know.
I think this is pretty unprofessional of you, Al. You totally just...
I just watched my DVDs. I just assumed that all of you guys had them on DVD.
You had one job.
You had one job and you failed at it.
I have
if
spoken.
If it makes you feel better, Nick, I also watched The Bounty Hunter this week, starring Jennifer Aniston and Gerard Butler.
Is that why they couldn't call it The Bounty Hunter? They needed to use this esoteric term. Because first of all, let's talk. Okay, we're talking about The Mandalorian. Haha, Alex, you had your fun.
I'm nothing if not my bits.
Yeah, your bits. Thanks for showing us your bits once again. So, all right, The Mandalorian, a term that if you were a Star Wars outsider, which we're going to get well into this idea of, is this accessible? Is this accessible Star Wars or is it not? But already the title is sort of like a hard title for me to talk to my normie friends about, because, and including my wife, who's pretty normie, because if you are surface level Star Wars, if you are someone that doesn't watch the cartoons, which I never watched the cartoons, or I try to get into them because I know they're great, but I just haven't committed. If you're not somebody who has really gone into Star Wars past the films and TV, or even past the films, you have no idea what a Mandalorian is. So an interesting choice for a title, because it's actually rather fan-serving in a way. Not to say that it's fan service, but it's fan-serving in a way. But like, it's really hard because if I don't know what to say to my family, I just go the Star Wars TV show. and everyone knows what I'm talking about. But like, is this gonna be a household name? Hopefully.
I mean, I will say around the high school today, it already seems to be. There were a bunch of kids talking about it, and like not just the nerdy Star Wars kids who are maybe watching this right now, but there was other kids who were just excited about Disney Plus, and this being like the flagship original of Disney Plus. I think people know what a Mandalorian is at this point.
They're well, at least if they don't know, they know it's a Star Wars TV show. And just to clarify, Alex isn't just Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused. He's actually he's a cross country coach, so he doesn't hang out around high schools for fun.
Yeah,
he's kind of paid to do it.
Well, kind of paid is a great way to put it. I don't know, Logan, you said talking about Star Wars with people who actually like Star Wars. Of the people who who don't like Star Wars, did you hear chatter about this?
Oh no, not at all. Like they didn't even know. They didn't know what a Mandalorian was. They all thought it was just Boba Fett and new armor.
That's actually quite further than I would expect.
Yeah, and like because they know who Boba Fett is, because like he's a very famous person who's only been on screen for what, like 5 minutes in total. But basically, they just think it's Boba Fett, and they think it's just a whole story about him, which is completely false. But for me, at least, I watched the Clone Wars a lot. Like I've watched every single episode at least like 10 times each. So like,
jeez,
yeah, I'm a big fan. But like,
with actually, some time on his hands.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, but like the first Star Wars film I did see in theaters was the Clone Wars, because I'm such a young guy, and so
you're in that perfect time period.
I know, exactly. It's awesome. But apparently I'm the only one who likes Star Wars in like my age group. And so but I think The Mandalorian's going to get out there because it's more of like a Western kind of vibe. And I feel like those are starting to pop up recently in movie culture. And so I feel like more and more people are going to start connecting with it and start watching it and actually understanding what it is.
I heard that a lot today, that people were excited because it's like a Star Wars Western. And it's the same way that I was really hoping that Rogue One was like a Star Wars Ocean's 11, which it almost kind of was in a way. But this is satisfying and it's checking a lot of boxes for people that were wanting something different out of Star Wars now. And I, am very excited for it, but I was just thinking, like, when this was revealed, I think around Star Wars Celebration, I thought the name The Mandalorian was kind of an odd choice, but it sounds like it's permeating with at least some of the kids.
Yeah. I don't have much to add to the name of the show, but I will say I know I expressed my hesitancy about Disney Plus. So before we really jump into the show, has a lot more than I expected. Like I wasn't thinking about the X-Men animated series being on there, things like that. So I'm not upset.
That's on there?
Yeah, because of all the like random Fox stuff there.
Okay, I'm going to log off and just watch that. I'm not going to talk about it.
Gargoyles is on there. I haven't thought about Gargoyles since I was eating SpaghettiOs when I was like
Gargoyles is on there?
Gargoyles is on there.
I've heard it's trending right now on Disney Plus. Like it's
is
like
it really?
Yeah, I think it's like 5 down from The Mandalorian.
Okay, so there's a lot more on there. I was just kind of expecting it to be like, oh, I'm getting this for The Mandalorian, and then they have like weird Lilo and Stitch the series or something like that. So well done, Disney Plus. I'm cautiously optimistic about my enjoyment of this.
Yeah. So there's some shocking things about Disney Plus. And first of all, I was complaining about this a lot with people. It ended up not being an issue, but I thought it was very strange that there was nowhere for you to log in or anything for you to download before the service actually launched. Because I was afraid that you had to go and authenticate, get emails and all this stuff, like all these little IT backdoors that were not going to work anymore, or at least not work on launch day. I was surprised, like, why wouldn't you let us at least log into something a couple days ahead of time? Because I just kept checking back, like, surely it's 12 hours out. Surely it's 24 hours out. They're going to give us something. And there actually was not anywhere for you to go until the time it launched, which was like about 5 a.m. Central Time, which is pretty much when I logged in.
Yeah, there was a couple times today where I tried watching stuff and it was like overloaded. It seemed like, at least on my Fire Stick app, but it was always good on my PC. So
yeah, it's consistently good on my phone. I think it's using a lot of resources, so it continually crashed my displays on my work computer. And I think that's my work computer's fault. That's not Disney Plus's fault. But I'm pleasantly surprised that even though there was nowhere for you to go until the exact time you could watch a TV show, it was fine. I'm sure there's some edge cases that people were pissed off about.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's the world.
We're at the top layer of Disney Plus. Let's go to the next layer. So I am obviously very obsessed with the visuals that happen in Star Wars, especially the little stingers at the beginning. I remember thinking when Disney acquired Star Wars, well, what would they do with the fanfare? Because obviously they're not going to play 20th Century Fox. They're going to have to come up with something that happens in between that and the Lucasfilm logo. I think with the theatrical releases, it's silent. But on the streaming, and I haven't checked on Disney Plus, but on like iTunes streaming, there's like a little bit of a Star Warsy fanfare that's not 20th Century Fox. This is silent, Lucasfilm logo, and then it flashes about 6 different characters, Star Wars characters. So I think R2-D2 is one, Darth Vader is one. I believe there's a Yoda, but it has this like kind of red and blue chromy background, and then it has a Star Wars logo, like a logo for the brand of entertainment you're about to watch that we've never seen before. And I am assuming that's going to go in the other series. I haven't checked Clone Wars if maybe they put that at the beginning of each Clone Wars. But what do you guys think about having a Star Wars, like what do they call that in TV, Alex? The thing that happens at the beginning, the logo. It's like the box art or something.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a technical name. I'm not that inside baseball to know.
Yeah, but Star Wars now has a logo wrapper, which is kind of crazy.
That was a weird jump from the overview of Disney Plus to talking about the logo wrapper. I don't have a lot to add on that.
Is it really off-brand for us?
No, not at all. But and just for our listeners, we're kind of feeling out how these post-episode recap / reviews are going to go. We got a bunch of cool guests lined up, with Logan being the first one of them. So forgive us if we're a little clunky in certain spots, but
McClunky.
Generally, what I want to know from you three, producer Chris, please too, like most general thoughts. Are we pro? Are we con? Are we excited, wishing there was another episode? And also, how do you feel about them not just throwing out the whole season at once? Them giving us one episode a week.
Yeah, I've talked the most so far, so it's going to be Logan first.
All right, Logan, general thoughts.
I am really hyped for this series and I also like how they have it one episode at a time.
Dude, me too. Like so much
refreshing.
Yeah, so you still have like a build up to like the next episode. It's not like The Office when you go on Netflix and you're like, all right, next episode, let's just keep her going and just binge watch it. No, you actually like have that build up of excitement and you like ponder on what's going to happen next. And for this series, I'm a very I love Westerns. Like in my film and literature classes, I loved listening to Westerns. I grew up with Westerns all my life. And also I really love the underworld. And not a lot of people like that. They're more about the Force and the Jedi and Sith. But I'm more of like a bounty hunting smuggler, like depth into that.
You like the scoundrels.
Yeah, exactly. And so I love seeing what's happening behind the scenes. And so I want to see more of what's happening. One part in this episode, which I found very interesting, was the Nikto. And that's because in the comics, I don't know if you guys read them, or in the books, the Nikto kind of became the big crime bosses after Jabba the Hutt died. Because
those are all the guys at the end, right?
Yes.
That are around whatever structure that they're shooting everybody at.
Yeah, some kind of hideout. And so they kind of went up top, and I loved how they kind of pointed back at the books, which I just found amazing. And same with Solo, actually, with Darth Maul coming back in that. They kind of pointed back to the Clone Wars. So I love how they're trying to integrate everything together.
Well, and this is cool that it's, along with the integration, when it's set kind of in the middle of everything. I think we've all been saying, me and Nick, since the start, that we wanted since the Disney acquisition, that we wanted like a Obi-Wan movie that's set between the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. So I agree. Yes.
And with the way they're positioning it, I think they're not going to take risks with films anymore, it seems like, because they're so conservative. They were spooked by Solo, which they shouldn't have been because Solo was great. But I think they were so spooked by that and now with the whole D.B. Weiss and David Benioff thing, it seems like they're going to take their risks on Disney Plus. And I think that's going to be to the benefit of us because that's just more content. Instead of a 2 to 3 hour movie, we're going to get like 8 episode seasons of 45 minutes each. We're going to get way more Ewan McGregor than we bargained for, and I think that's going to be to the benefit of us.
I love me some Ewan McGregor. All right, Chris, pro, con, was it a big letdown for you?
No, huge fan of it. I think it was kind of back to basics. You didn't see a lot of exposition. There's not a lot of actual ton of, explaining going on. Like, here's the setup. Here's why we're here. It's really just kind of taking you through a lot of action. And this guy's kind of life and just showing you the rough aspects of Star Wars, which is some of the best parts in my opinion. Like I agree with Logan. I love that dirty underworld stuff. The kind of stuff that's like, do. Oh yeah. Don't even get me started. But yeah, kind of seeing just like the aftermath of big events in these small corners of the galaxy is pretty cool.
You brought up exposition, and I totally agree with you because there's that idea of filmmaking where you show, don't tell, instead of having like the first 15 minutes of a movie where you have to explain everything that's going on. They do a good job of it. If you're a norm, you might come into this and go, what time is this period? If you haven't been reading about this, you come in fresh. What time period is this? And they don't tell you it's a period without the Empire. The Empire has fallen. They literally just say, what am I going to do with these Imperial credits? Which is like, I don't know if you've checked, but there isn't an Empire anymore. Which is a great way to explain, like, we're in a post-Imperial world without having to do that with the crawl or even with somebody saying, well, since the Empire has been gone, and like wagging their finger at the screen. You know? Yeah.
Well, and more stuff will come out as it goes, and that's how all great shows do it. I mean, when you watch the first episode of Martin, they don't like spell everything out about his career as a disc.
They don't give you a Shanae origin story right away.
No, they let it come out with time.
And how many shows have we seen where everyone says you just got to get through those first couple episodes? Like, I hate hearing that.
Yeah, I still have not watched Breaking Bad, and everyone's like, "Oh, after the first season, it's great," and it's like
everyone's lying. The first season is great.
I do love the first season Breaking Bad. But
I watched 3 episodes and I enjoyed them, but I wasn't hooked. This one, it ended, and I was like, "Oh, I want to watch more."
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, there's the other side of that, is I'm already hearing people, because nobody can be happy about Star Wars on the internet. I'm already hearing people's like, "Well, there's not much to work with there." I'm like, it's a TV show.
I mean, you don't have much to criticize?
What are we supposed to tell us everything right now? Yeah, well, I guess. But, like, it's a TV show. It's like, well, yeah, I'm going to need more than 49 minutes. Like, yeah, you are. That's literally what television is.
That's sort of the point, too. If you're left wanting more, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
And that's exactly what the producers want. They want you to have more so you can just keep coming back. And plus, that'll bring up the Disney Plus. I'm trying to look for a word. Like cash, like getting cash. Like there's going to go up. Yeah, go up in sales. They're going to go up in sales.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get so much more hype.
Can you imagine after that 7-day trial hits for everybody, how much influx of cash that Disney's going to be getting? Like, so what is next week? November 19th is going to be like a pretty nice day for Disney.
I also wonder what the Netflix analytics department was doing Monday.
Well, to be honest, who's really going to cancel their Netflix because of this, though?
Not canceling, but looking at those eyeballs.
The eyeballs, which, do they really care?
They do, because
do care about that, yeah.
A lot of it's, and this is really getting into streaming services and stuff, but a lot of their business is based on data, not so much the actual subscription fees. So that's why they're willing to put so much money into content and get people in, is because they have all this data on people and they know what'll hit. And so that's part of why Disney has their price so low now. I'm very skeptical that I will still be able to get this service. I am now, because I already had like a Hulu and ESPN package. It cost me like $1.12 more a month to have Disney Plus. So I was willing to pay that, but I don't think it'll be that low a year from now.
That's not even a cup of coffee. That's a month, right?
Yeah. So, all right. Casting what ifs?
Casting what ifs?
Who's the short guy that rides the Blurrgs?
Well,
Oh,
we know this already. This isn't a what if.
I know, but what I'm saying is, why did they not just make him more humanoid and have Danny DeVito play him?
That would be too. That would take you out. That would take you out of the
Hercules back
universe.
again.
I've wanted Danny DeVito in the Star Wars universe, and that is the perfect character.
He's gonna have to be a walk-on with like one line, or like an alien that just kind of walks in the background. He can't be in the show. He can't be Nick Nolte.
It would have been so perfect right there.
So, do you guys know? I mean, if you're looking at my notes, you see it. But the first bounty kind of blew my mind who he was.
Oh, I don't know.
So, and you know who I'm talking about. He's the blue fish guy that talks about pooping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Horatio Sands.
Ah.
I knew his voice sounded really familiar, and it was like, well, all right, well, let me try to guess. And I watched it the second time, still not knowing. But then I had to look at the IMDb, but it's Horatio Sands.
Interesting.
So let's talk about the first bounty.
Fun.
You want to get into plot
Also
now?
not Danny DeVito.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Even
we
though-
need to,
so we're done
that's
talking
fine. I
about
just
sure
wanted
we
to
talk
streaming
about every
services.
bounty that comes up in the show. I think that'll be a good tradition.
Yes. And how much it would cost us to go after the person.
Or to get that puck, that sweet, sweet puck. So bounty of the week, fish guy. That's what I wrote down. I can't remember the name of his what is it like? Whatever his species is. Apparently has really awesome poops, and you don't want to see him.
He molts.
He also molts. He also has glands that are noticeable by a human onlooker, because the guy that speaks Huttese at the beginning says, "Look at those glands. The musk will be sweet. He's young." It's like, so were they really gonna like squeeze stuff out of his sweat glands and see if it smelled good? Like I was picturing, you know how like if your dog has like the glands on their dog's butt,
no, come on.
if they're infected, you have to squeeze them out.
Yeah.
Sorry about that visual. You can't unsee it, but that's what I was picturing. And then he gets on the Razor Crest and talks about pooping and how it's like it's extra weird for them.
Man, this is going to make middle school a lot easier for a lot of kids, you know? Just get
Everybody
it all out
poops.
there. Everybody
Thus
poops.
saith
The big mouth of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like because I don't really like poop jokes in movies. Like they're okay. Like at some points they're fine, but sometimes they're just stupid in general. Like that's for like younger kids. Mandalorian is supposed to be like for the real fans and like trying to get the fan base in. You don't need poop jokes to do that. We're not in like current Disney movies. Like I guess this is Disney, but you know what I mean. Not like cartoon.
But if you say it like evacuate your thorax, you know, it's a little bit.
It was like hard sci-fi.
I mean, basically saying when you poop, but it's a different way of saying when you poop.
So, okay, we're not even 5 minutes into the show and we got poop jokes. But they don't just say, like, oh, I haven't taken a big old dump since the solstice. It's like, I haven't evacuated since if you haven't seen my thorax. Like, oh, boy. And then, okay, is this our first sighting of a toilet in Star Wars?
No, in Rebels they did have a bathroom.
They had a toilet. Like, you could see it. They didn't just reference it.
Yes, it was actually with Wedge, too.
Wow. Because they reference the toilet in the visual dictionary on the Millennium Falcon, and I think this was the first time they did that was for The Force Awakens. So if the visual dictionary actually shows where the toilet is. But they obviously don't show it in the movies at all. So this is their first sense, like, well, you know, a Mandalorian's got to poop at some point. So
yeah, didn't we have a whole episode about bathrooms on the Falcon?
We were talking about living in space.
Oh, okay.
And that was a part of that episode.
Yeah. So that was a bathroom, and then this guy messed up, and he got did.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Also, we should have thrown this at the top. spoilers galore. Watch the episode first.
Oh, I would hope that you would know not to watch this.
Yeah, someone's going to be mad at us. Yeah.
Okay, spoilers.
We'll throw that into the info of the episode or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, but real quick, when he was looking through the safe, did you guys notice any familiar weapon that was in there?
Ooh, no.
I did not.
I saw a Bosk's rifle. It was to the right side. Do you guys remember what that is? And I was like, this is very interesting because we haven't seen much of Bosk since episode 5, and we got a mention of him in Solo. But other than that, not much. And we did get him in the Clone Wars also, but not much since then. So I think
the Age of the Resistance, New Republic area, they have a gun buyback program. Like they're, like gun control is really taking off in the New Republic. So like, I found Bosk's gun on the black market because the government bought it back.
I didn't. Man, I should have paid more attention to that locker. I bet if that's in there, I bet there's other cool things in there too.
Yeah, I tried to look for like a DL-44. There were some weapons that looked very similar, but I don't think it was the exact weapon.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind that a lot of these weapons might exist elsewhere. Like, exactly like, whoa, that's an IG droid, but it's not IG-88, you know?
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying it's Bosk's at all, but I'm just saying it's a pretty cool weapon.
It's the same.
Because I don't think we've actually seen it used in live action, so it'd be nice to see it at least once or twice in the series.
Yeah. So, I'm really proud of us. Go ahead, Alex.
Well, I was saying I don't want to skip too far forward, but while we're talking about weapons, could we talk about the machine gun blaster?
Dude.
The one that floats?
Yes, that was one of the coolest weapons I feel like we've seen in all of Star Wars.
Very true. I thought that scene was amazing.
So imagine the technology that's going to be in that thing, because not only does it have repulsors, it's got to have some kind of back-kicking repulsors for every time you fire the gun. He does shake a good amount. Like, you see his helmet go up and down, but the platform doesn't really shudder much. Like, it still is just kind of easily shimmying itself in a 180-degree fashion. So there had to have been some kind of very, very complex, as soon as there's a kickback, it's putting just this amount of force for it to stay in place.
Yeah, that was cool.
This stream is awesome so far, just all the things we're getting into. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm really proud of us because we did a Bounty Hunters episode. This was probably in 2015. I'm guessing that was the era of this podcast. And our idea of bounty guilds, because this is, obviously there's the Bounty Hunters Handbook, which we've based our episode off of, is still pretty consistent with this TV show. They haven't retconned a whole lot of stuff. Granted, we started podcasting in the Disney era, so it's not like canon changed very much. But there are codes, there are bounty hunter protocols. I mean, it sounds like it's a little more strict now under the New Republic, and maybe we'll find out a little bit more. But there's a whole idea with chain codes and pucks and chits and tracking fobs.
But if you'll recall, they did not allow disintegrations, or at least according to Vader. Or maybe that was just a one-time
disintegration
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was specific.
That was a one-time thing.
Yeah. Well, they also talked about if you're going to kill your bounty, you have to prove it. So you definitely don't want to be disintegrating.
Good point.
Yeah, very true. Unless maybe if they have a certain weapon that they all use, they have their own little tag on their weapon, maybe that. But
so from what we know about bounty hunter guilds, there's a bounty board or a not national, but galactic repository of bounties. And that's what I'm assuming what the pucks are for. The pucks are sort of this is an official thing. It's almost like a taxi medallion, right? You can't drive your taxi unless you got the medallion in New York City and you have to buy it off of somebody. In other words, you can't be a bounty hunter if you don't have, the official puck. And so I think we're going to find that this is a bigger deal, that this is off books, that what the Mandalorian was doing in this episode wasn't on a puck, couldn't know the entire chain code, which to me, a chain code must have some kind of ID. I bet it's a social security number, because the last 4 digits of the chain code is just the age. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I thought it was very interesting. Also, I think the chain code, the first couple digits may say which species it is. which would make sense like to the big reveal at the end with
Spoilers.
Yeah, big spoiler, babe, like little baby
Hopefully
Yoda,
you turned off.
yeah, little baby Yoda species. So that's probably why they didn't have the first couple digits, was because they don't know really what the species is.
Maybe there's no number for it.
Or yeah, maybe there's no number for it at all. And so I just found it very interesting because when they first said that, like, oh, he's 50, I was thinking, I'm like, oh, it's probably some general something like that. It's not going to be like a big reveal. And then I just see this little baby. I'm like, oh, that's a nice surprise.
50 years old, right?
Baby
Yeah.
Yoda.
So we'll get into IG-88, but you'll notice that they show up at the same place at the same time with different protocols because he is, our Mandalorian, which I hope he gets a name, by the way. Our Mandalorian,
Steve
Valorian. We can't have two people named Steve on this podcast.
Fine, Fred.
Fred DeLorean. Or wait, what was the guy who made DeLorean Corporation? What was that guy? The cocaine guy from the 80s.
Yeah, the guy who took cocaine in the 80s.
Yeah, and made the cars with the gull wing doors. So
I'll look it up. You keep
You
talking.
can look it up. Okay. So our Mandalorian is told keep him alive, kill him if you have to, and our IG-11, which that's the call number of this IG droid, IG-11 is told to kill him, and he doesn't seem to have an option. It's just kill him, and sadly, we won't know how old Yoda actually gets, or Yoda's species actually gets. So, I feel like that's going to be a big plot point, is the fact that this is off the books. It's not on the Bounty Hunter Guild records. There's no chain code, or at least not a visible one. No pucks. It somehow has a tracking fob, so apparently you could have a tracking fob, and whatever the hell that does. But I think that's going to be a big point, is some group, maybe not the same group as Werner Herzog, is ordering that Yoda species, our little Yoda boy, gets killed.
Why do they want him killed? Like, I'm just like trying to figure that out. The Empire's not in power anymore, really. I mean, right? I mean, they seem to be pretty spread out. They've got some lingering followers, people that probably don't know what else to do. But I can't see what the benefit of killing it would be. Like, why do they benefit from that? Why do you guys think they would benefit from that?
Well, what I think is, so far, the only Yoda species that we know of, which is Yaddle and Yoda, they have been Force users. Like, this is a very big stretch, but maybe it's because that little baby Yoda species is a Force user, and maybe it has like some Force potential. And now, since they don't have an Emperor, well, I don't think they really knew the Emperor was Force sensitive, but they could just be killing them off, like still having like that Jedi purge kind of deal, because that's what they did throughout the Galactic Civil War. So maybe they're like, well, we can still do our duty and still have something to do in this galaxy. And so it's just like a sense of, I can still do this, and have a sense of control.
You're essentially saying it's like a holdover to the Inquisition days.
Yeah.
Because this takes place, I think, about 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Is it 5 years?
I
thought it was.
It is 9
Ish.
ABY.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which I believe the
4 or 5
Battle of
years.
Endor is 4 ABY, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and then the Battle of Jakku is 5, and then it's basically just
So 4
sparkled
years
out.
later, this series starts. So there could be some holdovers of Operation Cinder, where the Emperor is still sending out orders, and what does the Emperor know to do to program a droid to tell people to do? Is still go kill more Jedi. And that would be obviously a little bit of a stretch, because that's sort of boring. We're seeing that in other places. I'm hoping that there is competing elements here. We have clearly who is, maybe he's posing as an ex-Imperial, maybe he's posing as a Moff. That person, Werner Herzog, might be trying to keep that thing alive for hope's sake, because he knows what's coming. Or maybe the person who ordered IG-11 to go kill them is some kind of other force that's even worse than Werner Herzog.
Or what if the one who ordered the killing is actually the good guy, and they don't like something that potentially Force sensitive being raised by those bad folk who had him at that complex there. And so rather than having someone fall into the wrong hands and create a lot of trouble, a la Anakin, they decide it's better for the future of humanity and all other species to have it killed off. Whereas the German fella, who's Moffy McMoff, he wants to raise it himself.
Ooh, that is really interesting.
But what you could also argue is the people guarding the Baby Yoda, were they the good guys? I mean, you could.
We don't know.
It's the great part of kind of getting into the mucky muck of all these scoundrels. You don't know who's good.
They could have been bad because they could have their own, malicious ideas about what to do with that Baby Yoda. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we are so deep in the gray, you can call us Liam Neeson.
I would say with the information that we have now, like as I mentioned, the Nikto are at the top of the crime game right now. I would say they are the bad guys, and they're probably using it so they actually have like a force sensitive on their side, so they can become like even more controlling over the underworld. Like, yes, that is a stretch, but it's just like a slight possibility.
Yeah, because you're playing the long game there.
Yeah.
That Yoda's gonna be a baby for how many more? By the time you're dead, it's still gonna
years.
be a baby.
Which, by the way, it's John DeLorean.
John DeLorean. Okay, we're calling him John then.
And he had plans to sell 220 pounds of coke.
Instead of his awesome, it wasn't enough that he could sell the awesome gull-wing doors. Like, he was the Tesla of his time. Not the Tesla. He was the Elon Musk of his time, selling Tesla cars.
Well, his cars traveled in time. Musk can't do that.
Not yet. True. Okay, so bounty guilds, to kind of wrap up that part. So we got the tracking fob. He uses the tracking fob to find fish guy Horatio Sands, freezes them, which Chris and I made fun of the fact that now that's just standard protocol, whereas in Empire Strikes Back it wasn't standard. It's like that was the first time they've ever tried to freeze a bounty, but now they just have them installed in your bounty hunter ship, which is kind of fun. But all right, so he brings the bounties back, and he says, nope, I don't want Imperial credits. Haven't you noticed? The Empire doesn't exist anymore. So instead, Carl Weathers goes, nah, here's some Tide Pods. And then, I can only give you half of the Tide Pods, though.
I do like some good Tide Pods.
So don't eat Tide Pods. They're really valuable.
Next time you watch Chapter 1, when he hands over the Tide Pods, turn your headphones up because they have the weirdest Foley noise while he slides it across the table. It makes kind of like a little wobble water noise, and it's Mon Calamari currency, so maybe there's having something to do with, I don't know, it's some squid currency Tide Pod thing, and it makes kind of like a little wobble noise. Yeah, it's really hard for me to recreate it. Just turn it up and trust me.
We're also going to have to figure out a different way to talk about these things because you just said next time you watch episode 1, and my head went to Phantom Menace, and I was very confused until I caught it.
Great point, because they do call these chapters, not episodes.
All right, so get it together, Nick.
So I suppose Star Wars will have to do this forever, where their TV shows are called chapters, and their movies are called episodes.
That would be pretty cool, actually. I'd like to, because it's basically almost reading a book.
Yeah.
You basically have each episode as a chapter, and you just kind of go from there.
Chapters. So, okay, putting a bow on the bounty hunters. Now, we get the Garandan character makes his return, which I don't know if this is exactly Garandan from A New Hope, but the guy that talks like ribber rap, that guy.
Yes, that
Love
guy.
that voice. That always makes me chuckle. So I was already laughing at that character, and then he gets out a little recorder and tooty toots to get to get the speeders to come out. I was like, tooty tooty toot toot toot, and it was one of the best. I was like, this show. I was, as soon as that happened, I'm like, I'm all on board for this show.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice callback because I don't think we've actually seen any species like that since episode 4. So it's just kind of nice to see that. But I want to know what the name of that little recorder is. Is it the Valicord from Solo?
Isn't that a keyed instrument? The Valicord?
I don't remember. It was either some kind of flute or kind of like a piano.
I'm getting the impression that it's a keyed instrument, like a piano or a harpsichord,
Oh, true. Yeah.
All right, so a little trivia time, callbacks, or if you're a devotee of this show, why do you think the Mandalorian, John DeLorean, why don't you think he wants to ride in a speeder with a droid?
Here's my little input on it. So later in the episode, you see he was a foundling from the Mandalorian. So basically, he was found and he was took and he was pretty much made into like a Mandalorian, kind of like how Jyn Erso was with Saw Gerrera. She pretty much became a scoundrel and a rebel. And so I'm guessing that it was a droid attack because in the trailers, you actually see like little pictures of droids, which seem to be in the same setting as where that whole catastrophe happened. And so I'm guessing he doesn't like droids because of that reason. And that is also the same reason why the cantina owner in episode 4 doesn't want droids in his place, because his family was also killed by droids.
Oh. So, Logan, you got to go back and listen to our episode about this. But we actually have an episode about why that guy doesn't want droids coming in. Our take is that, A, if you're a scoundrel, droids record things. They also transmit things. So you don't want to be around droids if you are not trying to get caught doing anything. I don't think the Mandalorian was doing anything wrong because he was working off of guild rules, but I think he just doesn't want to be tracked.
True.
Yeah, that was where my head went to, but I like Logan's theory here.
I like Logan's
adds
theory.
A little more emotion to it than just, oh, this is a throwaway because you don't want to be recorded.
You can also add that to why he killed IG.
Yeah, like when he first saw the IG droid, he was like, oh, a bounty droid. Not because like the bounty, but probably because he just doesn't like droids in general.
Well, also IG totally had no tact in taking this over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so depending on which clan he was a part of the Mandalorians, like some sided with the Separatists. I think, Logan, you pretty much just said this, and some were on the side of like the Republic. So maybe the side that he was on did not really. They were on the side of the Republic, which would mean that they didn't like droids.
Yeah, that could be a big possibility too.
Tootie toot. So, moving on. Beskar Steel. So the little block that he gets from Werner Herzog, the little block of metal. He's like very impressed by it. He takes it to, which this felt like one of the most video gaming moments of the show, because it's like every planet has their little Mandalorian den and it has the logo above the window or the door that you walk into. So like you go to your local planet's Mandalorian gift shop, and as long as you bring them some Tide Pods and some metal, which is, it also reminded me of like when you get your penny pressed at a museum, you pay for it with the pennies and also some quarters. So the Beskar Steel must be, and I'll leave this to the Clone Wars person that's watched the show 10 times per episode, but I'm guessing that's some kind of very revered metal amongst the Mandalorians.
That was actually not really mentioned in the Clone Wars or Rebels, but it is known that Mandalorian armor does go through generations and generations. So your armor, so the Mandalorian's armor, basically has all their ancestors together. And so my guess, this is just another way of putting your own armor on to go to the next generation. And when I first saw the welder, like I first went to Bo-Katan, like Bo-Katan Christ. You know who English? Do you know who that is?
Yes. All right. Is that sister of Satine, right?
Yes, and she basically has the dark saber in Rebels. And so my first thoughts were that. But I highly doubt that now because it seems that she's only a welder and nothing more. But I do like your comment on the video game kind of style. You get your money in the game and then you go and buy upgrades for your character to move on.
Yeah, it's kind of like crafting. And I definitely felt like, the Mandalorians, they're a warrior race. So I don't really know if that specific type of metal is very good for deflecting blasters, but
it is.
It is. Okay. It definitely looked like a lot of his armor was deflecting blaster fire throughout the show.
Well, he gets hit on that pauldron.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good thing he got it.
Yeah. But I feel like when they're doing that type of like forgery, it just kind of shows you how they're more of like an ancient like warrior race, more akin to like knights or like, like to older times.
And you notice, is this something, Logan, they mentioned the Great Purge. Is that something explained in the Clone Wars?
I don't necessarily think it's about the Clone Wars, but I do think it's about in Rebels, because the Mandalorians were basically split. They were split into the Protectors and the ones who went to the Empire. And so the ones who went to the Empire, they basically killed off the Protectors. It was like this whole big deal. And then basically the Mandalorians finally came together, and Bo-Katan like wields the dark saber and then ends there with all the clans, and we get nothing else on that. So I'm guessing that's what they're referring to. I don't think they're referring to the Jedi Purge with the Mandalorians way back in 3000 BBY, but I feel like they're just talking about in current history, and I think that would just be about it.
Because they make Werner Herzog makes a reference to restoring order and like, hey, you should be appreciative of this metal block that I'm getting you because this is rare. So perhaps because these are Imperial bricks, right? That the Great Purge had something to do with these Protectors that you're talking about, and maybe they're all killed, and then their armor is melted down to use as currency.
Yes, there's actually. I think there was only one. There was like a few survivors of the Protectors. I forgot his name though, but he was actually a general in the Clone Wars. He wasn't a clone. He just helped train the clones. Okay. But I'm sorry, I'm a big nerd when it comes to the animated series because like that's all I did after school. I'd go and watch TV and take down notes, write down notes. But yeah, I don't think the Protector's armor was made out of that though. It seemed like a normal like basic kind of steel, but maybe it is, and we just have to wait and find out.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next point, because yes, the Clone Wars and Rebels exist, and there's plenty of people that delve into that, and like I'm not doing it because I'm not into Star Wars. I'm just doing it because I just don't have time. But I can't imagine like these questions are going to start to be answered for a lot of people who have never are going to delve into those two series. So granted, like you're saying, there's some blank spots in there that might be explained, but we're experiencing it, or at least I'm experiencing it for this first time. And it's interesting to know that these are Mandalorian traditions that we're going to start to understand and unpack. From most people will never see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because the one connective thread that I can see throughout all of Star Wars TV is the Mandalorians and Dave Filoni. And he directed, I think he has a writer credit or a director credit on this episode.
He's majorly involved in this.
Yeah, and he is involved with the Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Mandalorians are such a big part of both of those shows and now this. So I just think it's interesting.
Pop quiz, who directed this episode?
Dave Filoni.
No, it was not.
Waika?
No, wasn't it?
No, he has writing credits, and he's one of the showrunners. He's actually like almost, I think, neck and neck with Jon Favreau. It was actually Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh wow!
I thought it was Dave Filoni in the credits, didn't it?
No, it was her. I mean, I think he's a producer, but
he is a director for 2 episodes. Dave Filoni. Which episodes those are, I don't know.
Upcoming. Yep. So, there it was.
I see. So how do we have a time cap we're trying to hit on these recaps, Nick?
I would like to keep it under an hour. We're at 50 minutes right now.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to be sure we touch on before we go is how important it is to stay off the ice, especially, Nick, I hear it's snowing where you are now.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty awesome. And
so we got
kind of doesn't lead to anything. Yeah. But that was probably my favorite scene of the whole thing.
But Brian Posehn dying?
Well, yeah, but mostly the when it grabs the ship initially, that was such a really cool look. And not that I ever thought there wasn't going to be like a legit budget for this and stuff, but that was the only thing that didn't seem like it could have just been filmed for ABC or something, you know?
Yeah, I thought it looked really good. I never got kind of out of my immersion, so to say, of like looking at a scene and being like, "Oh, that didn't look great."
Yeah, but that specific part was like, "Oh, holy crap!"
Mm-hmm. And he kind
look
of
at how I'm
just
censoring
looked at
myself.
He kind of got out of his car like it was like a bug on his windshield. He's like, "Ugh, I'll just shoot this thing really quick," and all right, we're good.
That whole scene, he was just annoyed. Like that entire first act of the episode.
That guy's freaking out.
Yeah.
I like that scene very much too. What it was called a Ravenak, if I'm not mistaken. I think they mentioned it. Yeah, like I was really, because I'm a big species and animal kind of person in Star Wars. It's like in love with Rancors, even Gorogs. If you guys even know what that is, if you guys played The Force Unleashed at all.
Nope. That's a
we need Patrick
right
on
there.
this episode. Yep.
Basically Gorogs eat Rancors like a Rancor eats a Gamorrean guard.
We did have a great, in my humble opinion, since I talked a lot on it, a great Rancor episode with me and Patrick. I think that was me and Patrick.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, but that did kind of remind me of a lot of the things we talked about there.
But back to my point, I'm just glad there's more species and animals that they're bringing in, so we can go more in depth on those. Maybe one of those species, well, the Ravenak, maybe that's on Oct 2 in the background, because I know there's like some monster that pops up in the background, but it's not confirmed yet.
Yeah, people thought that was a crate dragon for some reason, but whatever. So closing thoughts. There are things we didn't cover, but we don't have to. There's Nick Nolte, the Ugnaught. We've got Taika Waititi, the IG droid. We have the namesake of this episode, which inspired me to call it what we were calling it, but the Blurrg, which we're all on this ride together on the Blurrg, guys. What else in there? Like, there's just all of this could take days just for you to unpack, and this is one episode of 8.
I really liked the Mandalorian rumor of never taking off their helmet. I thought that was a nice just poke at.
Yeah, because that's not true, right?
Not necessarily. In the Rebels and Clone Wars, they never really took off their helmets, but except for only a few people, only the main characters basically, because who cared about the others? But
Yeah.
But also the Razor Crest, I believed, looked like the Mantis from Star Wars: The Old Republic. Have you guys ever played that?
Yes.
That's for Patrick.
Yeah,
I played at one point. Come on.
Star Wars: The Old
it's
Republic
basically-
MMO.
Yes.
Yeah, I played a little bit.
Yeah, it looks somewhat similar to the bounty hunter ship if you just use a little bit of your imagination. But there were also like nice little pokes at Easter eggs. So they had Rhodians, maybe a Trandoshan subspecies, and the cantina, and also a Mimbanese from Solo. There was one in the cantina as he entered it.
Nice, I like these.
Oh yeah, you could probably
callouts.
pause that cantina scene and look
yeah.
at every single little thing in there.
And there
Well,
were Jawas and
On the species call out, am I pronouncing this right? Kawakians?
yes, Kowakian.
Oh man, that was heartbreaking. To
It
see
reminded
it
me of the
just roasting on the spit.
Was that the species of Salacious Crumb?
Yes.
Oh, he wasn't laughing then, was he?
Oh man, that was right. And like that almost, I'm a firm meat eater, but watching that scene, I was like, oh, wait, if they like have live chickens on a farm where they're cooking chicken, is that the same thing? It was just looking so heartbroken at its lover roasting.
Just like
Now
the
I'm just-
porgs.
Now I'm just thinking of like some mobster with a pet chicken. Like
Tommy
Just
Two
imagining
Hands
the
and his chicken.
rotisserie at a grocery store and like a live chicken running in there and just like trying to free them.
Yeah. Oh man, that was rough. That scene, and they showed it like that had nothing to do with the plot. They showed it just to mess with us.
Oh, absolutely. So Taika Waititi, will he be back? Or is he dead?
No, he's not dead. He's on the cover.
He's on the cover of what?
Wait. When you say Waikatatiti, is he the droid? Is that what you said? Or
Yeah, IG-11.
Okay, so if you open up your Disney Plus app, you will. I'm pretty sure they show him, the Mandalorian, the female character who I don't know who her name is yet, but I think she's also Mandalorian. She's wearing the armor, and then they've got IG-11. They're all in the same shot together. Yeah. So I'd be surprised if he's not coming back if he's like that prominent.
I mean, of course he's a droid, and they do make quite the point of saying it didn't hit my central wiring harness. You guys catch that?
Yeah.
Oh, and then John Mandalore goes, "Oh, is that a good thing?" And he goes, "Yes." So I'm imagining, I'm already understanding what the joke is going to be, but he's going to come back. He's like, "I thought I killed you," and he's going to say, "You didn't hit my central wiring harness."
Or even he shot him in the head to purposefully not hit the central wiring harness, but to keep him from killing Broda.
And then John DeLorean says, "I know."
Yes. So
you're calling him Broda, huh?
Broda, because he's like the baby broy Yoda.
Bro Yoda. So the internet is calling him Yiddle.
I like that. Also, definitely the best part of What We Do in the Shadows.
Taika Waititi?
Yeah.
Well, the best part of like the honestly, it's my favorite Marvel movie is his movie. Thor.
Oh, I was like the Taika Waititi movie.
Yeah. Thor Ragnarok is his movie.
So I still haven't seen Thor Ragnarok.
It's the best one. It's absolutely the best one.
Of the Thor movies. Yes.
Well, and that's the thing. For me, you know all my complaints about Disney. So my one complaint about this, the most Disney-fied moment of this, was when they open up the egg baby bassinet thing, and it's like first thing you see is the ears. Mm-hmm. And like I will admit,
how they do it in The Last Jedi.
I know. I will admit I got a little excited when I saw those ears, but then at the same time it's like, oh, it's just Disney messing with our emotions. Like they're just totally putting it and revealing it in that way to get people to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what we all did was go,
it's a Yoda.
I kind of did do that, actually.
Yeah. I'm not, like, that was what I did, but it pisses me off.
I did it with less energy because it was 5:45 in the morning. Like, oh.
I know we're kind of in closing thoughts, but just my closing thought is never go to a cantina. Never, ever.
Nothing good happens in a cantina.
No, and if your mother said that to you when you were young, you didn't listen. But if it's in Star Wars, it's definitely true. Just do not ever go there.
Nothing good happens after midnight. Nothing good happens at the cantina. Mm-mm. Yeah. So closing thoughts. We'll still watch the show, yeah?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Also, before we totally close, I actually have a listener question.
Sure.
That I thought could be appropriate to address here. So Chris, not producer Chris, but another Chris, says, I've never watched Rebels or Clone Wars. Do you watch one before the other? Are they both good?
That's a question for Logan.
Ooh, here we go.
Yeah,
Clone
that's
Wars,
why I brought it up.
Clone Wars is absolutely amazing. I find it really good if you watch it between episodes 2 and 3, as it kind of makes you have more emotion in episode 3 when Order 66 happens, because you get more in depth with those characters that you just see get killed off in like 2 seconds. And so Clone Wars, definitely a watch. Rebels, I feel like it has some really good parts, especially with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Great scenes, but sometimes it can be a little bit goofy in the first season. I know you guys said you hated it when everyone's like, oh, just wait until the next season, until it gets good. But I would give it a little bit of a watch. It brings more in-depth stuff, especially with Rise of Skywalker coming in, and also Rogue One, they have the Ghost, which is the main ship. And then Resistance, that's a hot mess. Like,
really, I haven't touched that actually, and I have watched the other two.
But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, so Logan, you're saying for Chris, who I do know personally, and I know he's a busy professional, if he's got to choose between one, Clone Wars over Rebels?
Yes, Clone Wars without a doubt.
Okay.
And I want to say that Disney Plus is probably the time that I can now have this all at my fingertips. Because there was a point when Clone Wars was all on Netflix, and I think I tried to watch it in earnest and didn't even get through season 1 because there was so much content. But then by the time I really got back to it, it came off of Netflix. Rebels, I don't think I ever had access to because I don't have cable. I wasn't going to pay $30 a season to buy it. I'm not sure it ever made it on Netflix. And then Resistance surely wasn't on Netflix. So, like, I can actually watch these cartoons now without having to pay more than $7 a month.
Wait, are they all on Disney Plus?
Yes. They're all on Disney
Disney
Plus.
Know that. Oh, my God. I'm so excited.
It's time to binge Rebels, my boys.
Oh, my goodness.
And let's say this. I think it would be... I'm not going to do my Wikipedia entry of the week on these weekly reaction streams. But what I am going to do is totally random Disney Plus thing that I'm going to watch this week, okay?
Yeah.
So I am going to, inspired by true stories, I am pressing over 3 times, and I am going to watch Justin Morgan Had a Horse, which when I click on it...
The musical, the series?
Oh, no. This is Justin Morgan Has a Horse. It is the 1972 classic. In the years after the Revolutionary War, schoolmaster Justin Morgan takes 2 colts as payment for an old debt. The younger of the 2 grows into the small, sturdy riding horse that served as the foundation of the Morgan breed, inspired by the children's historical novel that we all know and love, of course.
That's
so I'll let you guys know how it is.
Okay, cool.
Apparently.
Well,
I would
also,
love a one
you can watch,
like, sentence review.
You can watch everything, but you cannot watch The Last Jedi.
Really?
Not until December 26th. And you cannot watch Solo until June of next year.
But you can watch The Simpsons.
Quite strange.
The entirety of The Simpsons is on there, which I actually may watch this week. Not the entirety, but a lot of The Simpsons.
They still have movie deals, and also they kind of probably are at the tail end of people buying The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. That was 2 years ago, but there's probably some kind of contract that stipulates they can't do that. But you got to think that Disney's not going to do that anymore.
There's probably dollars involved. I don't know though.
Wait, guys, I don't know if this appeals to anyone else other than me, except for maybe Chris here, but they have a feel-good sports movie section where the first 4 listed are The Sandlot, Rookie of the Year, Miracle, and Remember the Titans.
Are there any depressing sports sections, or is it just only feel good?
Well, also on here, though, because National Geographic's involved, so Free Solo's there, which is awesome if people haven't watched it. Breaking 2, which is awesome if people haven't watched it. Breaking 2, the story of Chris Higgins running the 800 in high school.
In 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yep. And Full Court Miracle. And Brink. Oh, man, I'm excited.
This is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, so let's end this stream so I can go watch this.
Yeah, I know. I really want to watch. I'm really excited to go to my couch.
Also, someone commented on our Twitch stream, "Hey, how are you? I found your Star Wars LC Twitch channel. My favorite types of streams. I am going to design an arts for your channels. Do not hesitate to have a look. The URL on my profile image best. By the way, Talk Show Podcast is so random and so funny. I'm going to put all the credit to you this week, Logan, for being so random and so funny.
A Star Wars podcast? That's
that was
so random.
Quite the plug.
It's so random.
All right, Logan, you want to plug anything?
Well,
you got a Twitter account or something?
Well, I do. Well, you guys can follow my YouTube. It's Jogue the Rogue. So
you weren't kidding about that.
I wasn't kidding about that. No. I don't have any videos up yet, but I am starting to create some more content. So it's just Jogue. It's Rogue with a J, then the Rogue. So you guys could follow that.
You said education major, right?
Yep, education major.
What age are you trying to teach?
High school history.
All right, so someone hire this man, and he'll teach your kids about Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I have an education degree, and I'm doing so much with it right now.
Oh, yes. Too true. Well, Logan, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on here.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, I'm glad you were patient with us. It took us a while, but we got you on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And everyone else, tune back in 1 week from tonight, where we will be talking again. I forget.
Less than 1 week. We're going to talk on Monday because this show's on Fridays now, and we're certainly not going to stream on Fridays.
Yeah. So
shows on Fridays. We're going to stream on Monday nights.
Okay, cool. So next Monday we will be back with Patrick back in the fold, and we've got some great guests lined up over the next few weeks about this. So looking forward to talking to you guys.
Same here, man.
Yay! Thanks for listening. Ride the Blurrg.
Ride the Blurrg into the sunset.
Ride the Blurrg.